Hello, welcome. I am Hayley Loren and today we are chatting about the control of glucose and insulin. When you eat carbohydrates like pasta or anything sugary like sweets, then your body breaks it down into simple sugars called glucose. This glucose is essentially energy that your body uses for important processes like cell respiration that keep you alive. I have a video on that, by the way, and I'll put it in the description below. But if glucose levels are too high or too low, then it can be very dangerous. This is why blood glucose levels are monitored by the pancreas through homeostasis. And to see how this works, let's head to the drawing board. Behind your stomach is a long flat gland called the pancreas, and when you eat a meal or a whole load of sugar, your blood glucose concentration is really high and your pancreas releases a hormone called insulin. Insulin works by causing glucose to move from your blood and into your cells. Many of your cells will use glucose to gain energy through cell respiration, but what happens if there's too much glucose than your body actually needs? Well, to find out, let's head to the kitchen. When there's too much glucose in your blood, then your body stores it in liver and muscle cells. Your liver and muscle cells basically act as storage units. They take any excess glucose and then convert it into glycogen. Now, the question is, why do they even bother turning it into glycogen? I mean, using glucose would just be far easier, right? Let me show you why. The thing about glucose is that it's soluble, which means it dissolves in water. If cells absorb too much glucose, then it will set up a concentration gradient between the outside and the inside of the cell. And why is this a problem? Because of osmosis. Too much water would actually diffuse into the cell, which would disrupt the balance of this very cute little cell. So what the cells do is keep adding glucose molecules together until you end up with a long chain that can't dissolve anymore. This insoluble long chain is called glycogen, and it is a polysaccharide, meaning many sugars. So when your blood glucose levels are too high, your pancreas releases insulin, which then causes glucose to move from your blood into the liver and muscle cells where it can be stored as glycogen. But what happens when blood glucose levels are too low? Back to the drawing board. We've already said that your muscle and liver cells store glycogen. When glucose concentrations are too low, your pancreas releases a hormone called glucagon. This causes your cells to convert the stored glycogen back into glucose, which then is released into the bloodstream. Okay, hold on. So we have glucose, which is a simple sugar. We've got glycogen, which is a long chain polysaccharide that's insoluble. And then we have glucagon, which is a hormone. They really made it easy with those names, didn't they? So the pancreas is where it's at when it comes to controlling glucose levels. Insulin helps to lower blood glucose concentrations and glucagon helps to increase blood glucose levels. These two hormones interact with each other in a negative feedback loop, and to find out more about negative feedback loops, then check out my video on homeostasis, and I'll put a link in the description below. So what happens when all of this goes wrong? You might have heard of type 1 and type 2 diabetes. Type 1 diabetes is where your pancreas doesn't produce enough insulin, so you end up with really high blood glucose levels, and you need to treat this with insulin injections. Type 2 diabetes is where even though your pancreas produces insulin, your body doesn't even respond to it. So this means you can only treat it through exercise and diet. To learn more, check out my playlist, Science Made Simple. And if you enjoy this video, give it a thumbs up and think about subscribing. See you next time.